In the 1980s, the United States experienced a dramatic surge in the distribution and use of crack cocaine. Congress responded by passing the Anti-Drug Abuse Act of 1986. This legislation punished crack offenses more harshly than powder cocaine offenses. Because crack was more prevalent in diverse urban areas, the punishment disparity impacted Black people far more than white people. When Edward Clary experienced that impact firsthand, he challenged the Act's constitutionality in United States v. Clary. The federal government charged Edward Clary, a Black man, with possession of and intent to distribute crack in violation of the Anti-Drug Abuse Act. Clary pleaded guilty, but before receiving his sentence, he challenged the Act's sentencing mandates in federal district court. The Act imposed a minimum 10-year sentence for possessing 5,000 grams of powder cocaine and the same sentence for possessing only 50 grams of crack cocaine. Thus, the Act punished crack possession 100 times more harshly than powder possession. Clary argued that this discrepancy violated the Fifth Amendment's Equal Protection Clause because it had a discriminatory effect on Black people. Clary presented evidence showing that between 1988 and 1992, roughly 92% of those convicted of crack possession were Black, but only about 5% were white. At the same time, those conviction percentages were almost the exact opposite for powder cocaine possession. The government presented evidence that Congress imposed tougher sentences for crack because it believed that crack posed a greater societal risk than powder cocaine, as crack is stronger, cheaper, more addictive, and easier to obtain. In addition, Eric Sterling, who served as counsel for a congressional committee when the Act was passed, testified that legislators at the time didn't act with racial hostility, but they knew that minorities primarily used crack. The district court found that the disparity in crack convictions between Black and white people indicated that Congress likely acted with, quote, unconscious racism, unquote. Based on that conclusion, the district court declared the statute unconstitutional and imposed a 4-year sentence for Clary rather than the statute's mandatory 10-year minimum. The government appealed to the Eighth Circuit.